it was just starting to be a spoken language, and it's also unclear. Probably whatever Hebrew he learned probably would not be the Sephardic accent that we use in modern Israel. It probably would be the Galiciano accent. In any event, he went to school, learned some Hebrew, but then there was a turn. He went to gymnasium. Gymnasium is spelled just like gymnasium, a gymnasium in English, but a gymnasium was a secular high school equivalent school. This was something that you had to pay for, and so that's an indication that his family was relatively middle class. My maternal grandmother, who came from Bucharest, went to a gymnasium, and I'm told she learned French, etc. So Moshe went to this gymnasium with presumably non-Jewish Polish people, probably a majority. So at an early age, he started to get the Zionist spirit. It appears that his father encouraged that, and he became a member of the Hashomer HaTzair, which was already active in his town. So that's another indication that Zionism was not just something confined to the big cities even back then, that it had been infiltrating into the various shtepach throughout Galicia. So, as part of his preparation, he had studied some carpentry. And at age 17, he left home. Apparently with his parents' blessing, to prepare to make Aliyah. There are somewhat conflicting stories about exactly the route that he took, but he wound up going to Odessa at age 17, so that would be 1919. So apparently he was too young to avoid being conscripted into an army for World War I, because they did that, to Jewish boys as well. And he got down to Odessa. And from Odessa, he took a ship and landed in Israel, in Old Yaffo. Now, this apparently was an Aliyah ship. This would be the third Aliyah. He came with a friend of his. I know this because this friend was the father of a woman named Gila Balas, who I had talked to on the phone, who is a retired professor from the art department in Tel Aviv University, who is still alive. And she is one of the people that I talked to that gave me some more information about Moshe. She knew him personally. So he lands in Old Yaffo. He was immediately sent to work, doing various kinds of things, draining swamps. Of course, he got malaria. He was involved in building roads, and he was sent in November 1922 to kibbutz Beit Alpha, which is down south below Tveria, and he did various kinds of jobs, including construction. And then about in 1920, I guess the rest of his group from Przemysl arrived and joined together with him. And it was hard work. It was serious, hard work. And he got malaria, and he was put to recuperate in bed. This is the first time that apparently he came to Tzfat for some recuperation as well. While he was on the kibbutz and he was doing work there were wood scraps that were left over from the various construction, and he started to do carving on these wood scraps. He also, when he was confined to bed, started reading about famous artists and things like that, and he sort of got more of the artistic bug. So he also went to Yerushalayim, where he was involved as a sort of assistant to a famous artist, and he helped him cast a large outdoor sculpture. So at this point, Ziffer felt he had enough of the kibbutz kind of life. It wasn't for him, and so he went to Vienna, and he decided he was going to study art and sculpture in Vienna, and he went to a school there called the Kunstgewerbeschule, the School of Arts and Crafts, and he studied under a famous sculptor there named Steinhoff. And excuse me, he studied there for a couple of years, and the Steinhoff influenced him as to his artistic style. And then while he was in Vienna, he got to the point where he was good enough that he had an exhibition, and this exhibition was very well received, and this started to launch him, and he came back to Eretz Yisrael, and he stayed here for a couple of years. He decided that his art education was not enough, and so he went back to Germany to study more. And when he was in Germany, he met a man who very much liked his kind of work and became his patron. This man became very well known to the outside world. His name is Albert Einstein. For 2 years, Einstein supported him and helped him. Ziffer did a sculpture of Albert Einstein, which survives. But all of his other work that he did, he had to flee in April of 1933 from Germany. Smart kid. I think that's around the time that Einstein left as well, and he came to the United States. Ziffer came back here. So Ziffer then comes back to Israel, lives in Yerushalayim, taught, started doing sculptures. At that period, he was doing female nudes. What can I say? I don't think Ziffer was a dati person, although there are very few photographs that I see. The photograph that is of him in that book is head on, so you can't see if he's wearing a kippah or not. But that didn't seem to be where he was really interested. And so once more he went back to Europe for a period of time. He wanted to see his family back in Przemyśl, and he left there. He left there again in September 1939, where things were getting, really bad there. He was involved with there was a group of Jewish artists in Paris. He was very well received, and he came back again. Okay. So that is the general history about his art career up to that point. So now we come to Tzfat. Starting in 1934, Ziffer comes to visit Tzfat. And he really likes Tzfat. For a period of time back in 1921, he came here to recuperate from malaria, which he got when he was working there. One of his jobs had been planting thousands of eucalyptus trees, which were used to drain the swamps. So